Praful, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, background, so everybody's got context on where you're coming from.
Yeah, so I'm Praful. I'm CEO and founder of Sarama. Sarama is a company that is using vocalization, specifically dog barks and sneezes, to understand health, behavior, and also language development for dogs. Based out of San Francisco, and really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm Leo, founder and CEO of Fluent Pet. So if you've seen the dogs that are communicating by pressing buttons on the internet, that's Fluent Pet. My background's in cognitive science, so I did a cognitive science and AI degree at the University of Toronto. Worked with Jeff Hinton, went into the PhD program in cognitive science. And so I've been looking at AI for far too many years at this point. And we have been using, and I use AI all the time, as I think many people here do, both with the company and just to help with business stuff in general.
Hey, Alex.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex. I'm founder with Petcube. I started Petcube actually to solve my dog's problem, separation and anxiety, cope my dog's problem, separation and anxiety. As a software engineer, not a hardware engineer, I duct taped a laser pointer to a camera and give access to all of my friends so they can log in and they can play with my dog. So now with AI, I guess I don't need friends anymore. Artificial intelligence can play with my dog. Today, Petcube, we're selling smart cameras, GPS activity trackers. We just launched water fontaine, and everything to help you stay connected with your pets and help your pet be safe and happy.
So maybe we started off here. So you talked a little bit about kind of the core of your business, Leo, as well as just day-to-day life and running a business and how that incorporates AI. So I think we see it showing up a lot of ways. Obviously, tools, some of the stuff that may be a little more surface, GPS trackers and stuff. But at least from your perspectives, like what is kind of the serious impact, or business impacts going on today with artificial intelligence?
I mean, people are talking about like one-person startups, right? Or maybe zero-person startups, where, I mean, we're seeing all these multiplying exponentials. We see, the hardware layer getting faster. We're seeing the, multi-agent coordination working faster, and then the algorithms are going faster and faster. People are getting better with the data that they are feeding into the algorithms. So there's all of these like multiplicative factors that are accelerating development in AI to the point where, people think that artificial superintelligence is going to be around in 5 years. So it's one of those things where the kind of, what do you do? How do you just have to stay abreast of exactly like where things are going and try and understand how the tools work at an intimate level as quickly as you can. And I suspect that, constantly thinking about how you can drive efficiency within your own business through the use of AI, through the use of automated tools, by staying on top of everything, like that's where things are going to go.
How about you two? Anything to add on that?
Yeah, I would say like today's gazillion different tools. The best thing you can do is just like use them. Use them as a consumer and then think how to leverage this in your businesses.
I think we can be way more ambitious now. Anyone talking about one-person or zero-person companies is thinking very narrowly and small, because that's talking about a SaaS company that sells to a handful of customers, right? You can now think about products that are from the ground up, rethought and rebuilt for a different world, right? So, we're trying to build the collar from up. They're trying to get more dogs to talk, right? Alex is trying to make cameras that are way, way more intelligent in how we understand our dogs. So a lot of this is about connectivity. So the big thing I would really, really encourage people to do is figure out what can we do that's even beyond our current understanding of an imaginative capacity and make it real.
So I'll put you guys a little on the spot with this question. So can you answer either side of this? What do you either feel has been the biggest breakthrough to date of AI, or what do you predict will be the biggest breakthrough in the near future? Just go down the line, start with you, Praful.
The biggest breakthrough is going to be the fact that a lot of these agents can do a lot of activities on their own. Once we start having, to what Leo alluded to before, companies that are owned and operated by the agents themselves, so they're 0-person member companies, what happens then is it opens up what I want to talk about, which is the ability for us to get agency for dogs, right? So what if a dog can control an agent to do activity in the real world? Why can't that a dog-owned company be a thing, right? So right now it's kind of like an early premonition, but like in 4 years, if we have ASI, there's no reason why we can't get animals to own this stuff. I have a lot more hot takes, but that one I'll keep right
Are you taking early friends and family money on that one yet?
We've already taken money, but we'll take more if you guys are offering.
How about you, Leo?
Yeah, I have been playing a lot with like deep research. I think ChatGPT's deep research functionality is probably the best, but Anthropic Cloud has one as well. If you kind of tweak it and work with it well, you can have it help you with things like very elaborate programming things. Obviously, Cursor and the IDEs that are programming assistants are absolutely something you should get familiar with. But you can prepare entire papers formatted in whatever format you want. You can have it do deep analyses of any kind of legal issue or medical issue that you have. If you take some supplements or drugs, you can compile them into in a nice machine-readable format with all the dosing, and then you can ask it to look for weird interactions or synergies. So I think that, sometimes when I'm using an LLM and I'm like, I don't really like, it seems like it's being lazy. It's like abbreviating its responses, like Grok. By the way, this is the Elon's company, XAI. Grok will be extremely lazy when you're asking it for like very elaborate responses. But if you ask ChatGPT for a deep research answer, it'll give you 30 pages. And it'll give you 30 pages in LaTeX format or whatever format you're interested in, which is super useful. So I actually think that the deep research has been one of the biggest recent breakthroughs. For sure.
So let Alex answer that. Actually,
Okay, so on the breakthrough, so look, I think right now many companies are trying to improve communication between human and pets. I've seen many companies like doing some facial emotion recognition. By the way, I think there are like more than 20 dog patterns, dog emotional patterns, more than 270 cat emotion patterns, 250 of them probably just like, I'm done, do not touch me, I'm good. I think people are building something in this space of vocalization, recognition of the audio, of the meow barks, almost like pet GPTs. But, like honestly, what do we need to improve the connection between human and pet? I think it's all about like spending more time with your cats and dogs, and that is what is important. I think the real breakthrough in AI could be in increasing the lifetime, increasing the lifespan and the quality of life of your pet. I think this is priceless. We don't spend enough time with our pets. And with Petcube, we do a lot of things like detecting dangerous moments. For example, in your home, with the help of the cameras, we can analyze if there is like starting from a glass break, fire, or your dog urinating, defecating, or even vomiting. And based on this, we can predict or find these early signs of diseases or illnesses. I think this could be like really big breakthrough that AI can bring. We just talked with Leo yesterday about like early detections of potential problem that could be like life-saving. And I think right now we see this pattern even with humans, with us. Like for example, I don't really trust my doctor. I rather like run some of the answers like through ChatGPT and get the second opinion, or even like 3-4 opinions. I think the same would be true for veterinary care and for the doctors. So yeah, and in Petcube we have right now we are very excited to work with companies who are like sharing the same missions, who want to increase the lifespan of the pets, increase the quality of their lives. We have more than 1 million cameras, tracker users out there. We generate like more than 15 million videos, audio data, video data that we can potentially use to retrain the models to help you guys create even your models even better. So if you're thinking of getting the data or training the models for your products, for your use cases, I'm happy to talk about it.
Actually, to add to that, they now have a bill. It's not going to pass, but AI can prescribe drugs directly to patients.
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
So they have a bill. It's not going to pass where AI can prescribe drugs directly to patients.
Wow.
So that way you don't have to go through the medical system directly.
Probably actually more efficacious than some of the online MD stuff now.
Yeah, a lot better in some cases.
All right, Alex, let's stay with you. So I'm guessing the answer to the first part of this question is probably yes for all of you, but I'll ask it. Do you use both off-the-shelf and custom AI in your business? And then kind of how and why? What was the logic behind it?
Yeah, so, and I will extend this question also because like we're making hardware versus like on the edge models or in the cloud models. So in Petcube, we started pretty early. We started in 2010. Actually, the first idea came up in 2016. We launched our first product on the market. So since then, we sold a lot of cameras and we're able to generate the data before even like all this GPT hype. So we started generating our own models. Right now we're using our proprietary models on the devices to do the basic motion detection, or what we call like moments of interest. And then once we find this moment of interest, something that happening with your cat or dog, is it like accident, anomaly, or something weird, then we can leverage LLMs to analyze the data and provide us the response. We also do our own training with our own in-house training and human in the loop, where the user actually can mark whether this event was truly like, for example, vomiting, or this event was your dog was jumping on a couch. So yeah, this is how we approach the open source models versus our own. Again, it boils down. We start with our own models that are cheap and efficient, and we leverage LLMs to like retrain our own models.
Same question.
Well, one thing that we've been doing that LLMs have been really helpful with is trying to see how much of the business processes we can kind of formalize and automate, and also kind of making sure that everyone within the organization is not only aware of these tools, but is using them regularly and thinking about how more of what they're doing could be automated. So one of the, I know you said to save the tools to the end, but one tool that we've been using and that I've been trying to get like better and better and more familiar with is a simple tool called N8N. If you're familiar with Zapier, it lets you connect various processes, like software services within your organization. N8N is that, but like on steroids. It can be very cheap if you do your own install of it, like almost free, and it's designed to work like really closely with large language models. So and there's a huge, really vibrant community of, seems like everyone's in there like between 20 and 25. So it's like low code, no code platform. And if you formalize much of what your company's doing, there are places where you can absolutely use a product like N8N to plug in and replace and automate a lot of what's going on, or make it easier and more fun. It'll integrate with Slack, obviously with email. It'll be able to read everything that you're doing, prioritize your inbox. All of these things are like very doable, and it's a fairly future-proof kind of system because it's just plugging in the tools and like doing the piping between tools you already have.
I pick up something useful every time we talk about this, Leo.
Yeah, I mean, what everyone else mentioned, but we also have chips specifically built for running models on device. To run models at the edge is very complex, and a lot of the existing architectures until the last 2 years were not set up for it. Now you can run like models from 2017 finally, which is an advancement from running it from like the early 90s or 80s. And next year, every single chip that comes out for microcontrollers is going to get better and better, and they're going to get more battery efficient. So we are focused a lot of our attention on getting the best models running locally rather than on improving battery life or improving other aspects, because what we find to build a premium product, it really matters what you can do and how you deliver that story than being able to fight on features. So we're much more focused on the Apple experience than we are on the Microsoft experience.
Makes sense.
That was a dated reference. But.
So I want to be sensitive to the time for you guys on questions you might have, because these guys really are a depth of resource. Can you give me a quick show of hands if you might have a question for these guys? No questions? One? Okay. All right, with that, if you have questions, think of them. I might ask you guys one more, and then we'll go to, actually two more, and we'll go to the audience. We could go really deep on this, but maybe we'll keep this to fairly brief. The whole issue of like data ownership and portability may be more complicated with pets versus humans, just given the nature of who they are and the context of households. What do you guys, I guess, what's your perspective on where it is today and where it might go in terms of ownership?
Yeah, it's the socio kind of cultural trend that I think AI and LLMs will bring about is a desire from individual consumers to have more and more of their data in their own possession, easy to analyze. I'm already noticing this myself. I get test results. I think I mentioned function at one of our previous things. I get test results from various like medical providers, and they're in like PDFs, and they're all over the place. I want like a common like resource, maybe a machine readable format where everything is kept, and that's super easy for an LLM to read. And I'm sure that everyone else is going to want this too. It's just a matter of time. Whereas say 5 or 10 years ago, like, okay, you've got all your test results. What am I going to do with them? I've got my dog's, test results from 12 years ago. What am I going to do with that? I don't know what it means. It's not that useful to me, so I don't care if it's owned and kept by the vet hospital or the analysis, whatever the test company is, right? But now I do care, because now it's part of a history that's going to enable me to take better care of my dog or my cat.
I think that a lot of what we focus on is how do you get health outcomes, and we try to do it on device, so the data is stored as locally as possible. What we try to send back to our backend is things that are useful for our training for future models, but it's mostly for training purposes. The thing I think is going to happen is that veterinary care is going to transform overnight, right? Like, we're going to have a slow build up where people trust veterinary care and they're going to stay inside the system. But then very quickly, people are going to realize, like, I'm getting better results from this thing at home than I can when I go into the office. Also, it takes me 2 months to get an appointment if you're in a major city, or it could be the hours are off, right? So as soon as we start to build more and more trust, there's going to be a large change. And then now, people are talking about getting, their supplement stack, like we were talking about last night, or their prescription drugs from a recommendation from a model than from a human being. So all of this is going to be a very transformative system. And that's why the people who are as close to the doctors, or I mean, to the dogs and to the people to build trust, are going to own the entire stack for spend, right? Like what food you feed your dog to what medical care you provide, that'll all be done through these very powerful systems. That's why I think we should think beyond what we have right now.
I agree on this. Probably nothing to add. I mean, I think we would trust AI more than our doctors, humans, in the future. And similar to privacy, I think the benefit we would get from any like LLMs, AI agents, if they outweigh, so people will sacrifice sort of some of the privacy to get the benefits out of this LLMs and AI tools. If you provide enough benefit, I think you're good. You get like trusted source of data. You get the private trusted source of data.
All right, with that, my colleague Jay here has a mic. If you have a question. Mark had one here.
Hey guys, it's great to see you guys. So for most of us today, when we talk about AI, everybody's thinking about generative, right? It's the new kid on the block. But you guys know there are lots of other kinds of AI that exist, right? The things that data scientists and other scientists train, expert systems. I mean, the list goes on and on. Where's your head at in terms of what the future looks like and leveraging AI to its fullest across the broad scope of AI? And what's the risk that as new founders that come up that don't have that historical background in other types of AI, that value gets lost in the process because AI to us today is just generative?
I mean, a lot of these models end up converging, and it depends on your data set more than it matters on your architecture. Now, is it that LLMs are going to be the end-all, be-all? No. Is it that diffusion models are going to be the end-all, be-all? No. But what happens is that the better your data, the more learning you get, and the more insights, and the more you want to do with them, then the architectures will adapt to that. So I don't think it's important to, I mean, it's always important to know the history and the technical underpinnings, but what's more important is the capabilities that keep getting introduced every season. And now we're getting to like weekly cadence of things changing transformatively. So I think the bigger thing is just exploiting what we have as of now. Because if we stopped all AI research today, there's still multiple trillions of dollars of transformation that's available. And that's if we stop today. So there is a large opportunity outlay in front of us. That's why my big takeaway from friends and talking to others, and I still have a Bay Area bias, so take that with the size of this room, grain of salt, but you should be way, way, way more ambitious. Like if you think you could do X, try to do 1,000X of that, right? So try not to limit yourself to what majority of this conference is about, because today is 25. Next year is going to be a transformatively different year for what we think is possible.
Yeah, I think it's all about finding like right use cases and starting from there. Like it's all about solving the problem, right? AI is just a tool to solve this problem. And regarding that, like historical knowledge, whether it's better to like start now or like have all this like historical data set. I think the faster that you adopt AI tools, the faster you change your mindset and you like transform every process in your company, in your workflow towards the AI, the better, right? I can give you an example based on the engineers. Like there are two engineers. One is a senior engineer who is like, I'm not using AI because it's like writing crappy code. I would be like afraid of using it because it will damage the whole like production database, whatever. And there is other fresh engineer who is like just starting, and for him, AI tools, or for her, AI tools, this is a new reality, right? So they didn't get to use how to code before. So many people are saying that like this new AI engineers, they will not get the job, but because AI will replace it. But I think it's totally opposite. they will be much better and efficient rather than people who are not embracing the change of the AI and not like taking on this train. So I think like the right time to start is now and like to build these things.
Yeah, I mean there's a huge advantage to being 22 years old right now, because the world when you're a teenager is constantly changing because you're constantly learning, and the things that are new to your parents are now familiar to you. So you're like while there's a large history of different approaches, I mean clustering, all sorts of machine learning techniques have been established. The reality is the place where the most smart people are putting the most good work at the same time is a place where there's massive network effects, right? Because you've got all of this combined effort. And so, there can be other, you can be Betamax, or, like it might even be a better thing. But if you've got all of the effort being put into this one area, it's going to rapidly outpace everything else that's going on.
Yeah. So, I was curious if you guys have any thoughts on AI and the therapy business.
Yeah, I mean, I have a local model I run as my placeholder therapist while my real therapist is out. Look, it does stuff and it's interesting. You get outcomes. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, and this is actually a real thing happening right now, LLMs are leading to more people feeling delusional thoughts than any other time before. We're going to see a larger and larger mental health crisis as a direct result of these models in place, because they just continue to validate your ideas. And I want to be very clear, most people don't have good ideas. Most people who have good ideas don't have mostly good ideas. There's only 1 to less than 1% of your ideas are actually any good, and less of that are actually related to reality. So now if you have these models justifying and validating everything, you have social networks justifying and validating everything, you can understand the spiral and exponential effect of complete delusion in society. So
This is my favorite answer I've heard
I'm
the entire day.
going to take a hard no against that.
no, but this is a real thing. There's the cases.
I think there is currently a problem of AI-induced psychosis. The AI models are 2 years old, and there are a lot of smart people who are working very hard to make AI models work well for people. And so I strongly suspect that, especially with the media attention that, AI-induced psychosis has gotten over the last 2 months, I think we'll see a response by state-of-the-art frontier model companies to put the kibosh on that and actually figure out how to actively intervene and avoid the kind of sycophantic weird stuff that we were previously seeing. We saw that with GPT-5, OpenAI tried to just turn off 4.0, and they might have had good reasons for doing so that they failed to disclose. They're putting it back, but I suspect that maybe some of those reasons were this psychosis thing. GPT-5 is a lot more, what people are annoyed by it because it's more to the fact. It's like talking to a boring graduate student more than it's talking to a friend who's going to send a bunch of emojis your way. So I think that all the tools are in place to actually prevent this from becoming a big escalatory issue. It does seem like it's an issue currently. I suspect it's temporary.
I don't think they have an incentive to not make it this way. Anyway.
Yeah, I think chats like ChatGPTs, LLMs, they will simplify the entrance to the therapy. Right now, I think many people, they sometimes on the fence to start it, right? And this is kind of try before buy example. And it's kind of free, no strings attached, or sort of free, right? So I think that from this perspective, from this angle, it might just increase the adoption of the therapy as well and increase the market.
Yeah, and I should also add, I do think that AI-based therapists will probably, I think that they're going to become better and better and better over time. People are going to use them more. You get one therapist, as they're developing in their career, will see maybe a few thousand patients. The AI therapists are going to see a few billion patients. That's a big difference. And you only need to have like a tiny fraction of the rate of improvement per patient in order to rapidly outclass even, a fairly good, the other thing is like there's a range of quality of service providers, right? And a question is like, okay, like where is an AI now? Is it like a first percentile service provider, or is it a 50th percentile, or is it an 80th percentile? Presumably it'll go up that percentile thing. Maybe it'll cap at 80th percentile because the other 20th percentile, the other upper 20% of service providers are using AI to make themselves better. So I actually think the future is bright for AI-assisted
100%. And just to add on top of it, I think AI will also help us. Like, imagine you're doing a therapy session like one-on-one through Zoom or something, and your therapist augmented with AI by seeing like all the emotions that he or she missed. So AI can recognize your emotions. AI can like translate them, record them, store them, and then based on like 100 sessions that you made, probably suggest something to the therapist or to you how to, guide you through this therapy journey.
The reason I'm less bullish on this is when AI is much more involved in you and you believe it fully, what happens then? And we're at a point now that people believe AI more than they believe other people. And I don't suspect things are going to go better than they have gone historically with social media.
Jay, quick time check. Is the next session at 2:15?
2:30, so we got...
So we got a little latitude. Okay. So if there are any more questions, we can take one or two more. Yeah, back row.
Yeah, hi. You spoke about veterinary medicine earlier, and a big issue or a big obstacle to the adoption of AI there is data and how fragmented and unstructured it often is. Now, we've seen sort of a change to that in the human medical space, where we see more of a standardization and a build out of the infrastructure to set everything up for AI. How do you see that play out in the veterinary medicine space?
I think it's going to come from the consumer companies, right? I don't think it's going to come from the veterinary industry. The vet clinics, one, are very conservative. Two, they don't have the data. If they do have the data, they don't always know the outcomes because they don't control the outcome data flow. And by the time you get all this information, only a handful of hospitals actually have it, right? Plus, with a consumer company, you can have global trends and you can have all the data flowing through your system and it can be structured in the way you want it to. So that's why we look at everything on the edge and we focus a lot on capturing the data that we want. Now, obviously, we don't have the ability to do blood tests automatically and we don't have the ability to do other stuff, but that's just a matter of time of adding products and marketing. But for a vet, if you're seeing them once a quarter or at most, say, once a month, and I see your dog every second, my data frequency is way higher, right? So I just win on that. And this is one of those places where the innovator's dilemma is very clear, right? Like, unless you are a vet in my house, you don't have the ability to make that play. Now, I think that there are like companies like Mars and others who have a lot more information flow from a lot of other products, but because they just sold Whistle, I think that was a bad idea for their veterinary business.
I actually have an idea. I was chatting with Alex about this yesterday. I don't know if it's still working. Okay,
You're good.
This is an idea that, like, if I had nothing else to do, I'd probably be pursuing. But I suspect one route towards the data structure issue that you're talking about, like totally cutting this Gordian knot, is vet malpractice. So if you could see the malpractice insurers insisting that veterinarians do something more with the way that they're recording their data in order to minimize their liability. So I could see that being a way towards motivating these other, like taking the conservativeness of the clinic and kind of using that energy and turning it towards actually kind of being very aggressive and ambitious when it comes to recording data. Because then, they could check. I just had a dog just get $35,000 in vet bills because of a delay in care caused by a vet. That probably wouldn't have happened if the vet had a standardized way of like recording all that data, did like a double check on their evaluation with an AI system, and was like, whoa, we need to refer out right now because this is escalating quickly.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, sure.
Time for another one? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this was discussed before, but what about AI on the early part of the product formulation supply chain? So a lot of the food companies and supplement companies have formulators. They use contract manufacturers. It seems to me like in the human space, there's a company called Ingredients.ai that I invested in. But in the pet space, are we seeing anything that you guys have seen where, obviously product formulation can be done with, machine learning pretty quickly and save a lot of time, maybe lose some jobs, but it seems like you can formulate, that's like a no-brainer for AI.
I mean, yeah. I guess there's a question, can AI do more interesting formulations? Yeah, like I have a friend who's using AI to create new types of protein so they can do cultured meat for cats, right? So that wouldn't be easily done with regular formulation. I think if you're just trying to formulate existing foods, AI can do that today, and it is not my main focus. My main focus is like, what can you do to accelerate the frontier of this space? And I think the bigger place is going to be around pharmaceuticals and non-pharma kind of veterinary care, right? So what else can you do that is interesting? New types of vaccines, new types of subdermal care, new types of understanding of how things work at the mitochondrial level, at the protein level, how different diseases get created, how can we do early detection of that. I have a friend using AI to do early detection of disease in people with using dogs and stuff. So I think that's going to be the place, but formulation obviously is going to happen. I actually think we'll have more jobs because of it, because someone will have to test hundreds of these experiments that show up. And unless we have robotic formulators doing that, I think we'll just need people managing the testing on the ground for that.
I think one thing that AI is really great at doing is taking people who are a subject matter expert, like a nutrition expert, supplement ingredient expert, and giving them tools that they can use themselves in order to like maybe make software that lets them create these formulations. So whereas before, someone who was a subject matter expert might have had to go out to a small engineering team to say, hey, I want this bespoke piece of software that lets me make these predictions about palatability or how the impact on the microbiome or whatever. Now, this person using Cursor or Windsurfer or whatever the latest Amazon, integrated development environment, like this subject matter expert can go and just say, oh yeah, I want to make this thing, build me this software, this analysis tool, and I'm going to make some recommendations now as to like new kinds of formulations.
Yeah, and I think there will be like personal formulation formulas based on like behavioral patterns, based on like big data that we just accumulate and build on it.
All right. One, thank you guys. And then I got one last kind of rapid fire question for you. With the exception of ChatGPT, if you had to suggest one tool for the everyday business founder, operator that may be not super ingrained in AI in terms of productivity for the business, what would you recommend?
Okay, let's start for engineering. Cursor, for your personal tools and productivity, ChatGPT, for video creation, Gemini, and this is tool by Google, VO3. Oh, you said one?
It's fine.
One per category. Yeah, so those are top three, I think, on my end. And NA10, which Leo mentioned, I think all their organization must try to use it. It's kind of like advanced automation tools that can be used by operations, customer support, marketing, anything. Basically just ask how you can use this tool to make all the processes 4 times more efficient, and the team should do it.
So Alex made it tougher for the two of you, but do you guys have each one tool that you can throw into the mix on that?
Yeah, I would just say everything Alex said, and the Claude has to go back to the deep research. Anthropic also has good deep research with Claude that will search, and Gemini also does deep research, and they will look at, I think Claude will look at like 500 sources and read 500 sources. Now, everything I've read says that like the metrics say that ChatGPT kind of does a better job of integrating that information. But if what you're looking for is like breadth, maybe there's like some piece of information and you know that it exists in like some far corner of the internet, then Claude might do a better job of finding it than ChatGPT would, because it looks at 500 or more different websites and papers and articles and all that. N8N for sure. And then here's a kind of bank shot on this. A lot of the fastest information, freshest information on what's going on in AI, the lists of these products exist on Twitter. So there are like various, you can follow a AI list on Twitter. And there are people, especially in VCs, who are trying to make a name for themselves, will say, here's the tools I'm using in, the second half of July in 2025. Those are helpful lists, and I pay attention to them. So Twitter is a great AI tool.
Yeah, if you're in the pet industry, use Sarama AI, because it's going to help you make better decisions on what you should do for your company and the dogs that you serve. So tell all your customers to buy Sarama AI.
Second best answer of the day. All right. Thank you guys very much. Big round of applause for him.